on the mic, spreading wisdom wide. The best thoughts, that's my pride, can't hide.
With the voices in your ear, changing the game.
If I rule podcast, every thought we'd ignite. In a world of chatter, we'll just walk in the fight. With Professor Ben, we're climbing to new heights. A best thoughts podcast, shining bright in the night. Topics from the heart, never sounding the same. Got laughs and debates, never dull or bland. From culture to tech, take you by the hand. Join the ride with us, feel the vibe expand. With every episode, we shine that beginnings on the cusp. Not too old to adjust. Old dog, new tricks. Remember, I was just a pup. Something dirty in my cup. Clean soul.
So tune in, don't miss what we got to share. If I rule podcast, I spread the love everywhere.
Welcome, and thank you for joining me this evening. I am Professor Bear, and this is a Bear's Thought. And we are going strong in 2026. We've been having some amazing guests to give them, to show them some gratitude for everything they do in the world of wrestling podcasts. And this particular gentleman, he's had me on the show a few different times. Back when I was starting that grind for WSN, trying to get our name out there, he was so open to let me on the show, and we just clicked real well. And when I had the thought of doing this appreciation month, he was one of the first people that came to mind because he's just a great human and he's fun to talk to. So let me introduce my boy, Marlowe. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, I love the introduction, man. I'm doing good, man. How about you?
Man, I'm not going to complain. Not going to complain at all.
Hey, man, I'm glad. Hey, you got your show going. You got the merch going. I mean, you got it going now, man.
I'm trying. I like everybody else. I'm just hustling. And what, my guest just told me. He said, "Is it really work when you love it?" So, it's just fun and trying to do different things. And like I said in my opening, I felt like I needed some to give some love to podcasters out there that are doing their thing and don't mind collaborating, and just let people know we are human just like they are. So of course, we got to start with that question. As I always ask, how did you get into loving wrestling?
Oh man, my mom, my grandparents, obviously, you being an old school wrestling cat yourself, my grandparents lived on the world of pro wrestling. My grandmother, diehard Ric Flair fan. And she loved Bob Backlund. And it was, it took me a long time to get into it just because obviously me being a young kid and stuff like that. I mean, I'm like four or five at the most, and my mom every Monday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Saturday, every Sunday, something of WWF was coming on. So it was like, it was either I was gonna get hooked on it or I was literally just gonna be like, all right, I'm gonna have to figure something else out. Why my mom just takes the TV pretty much all week. So it's like those things were something that really connected with me. Obviously, if anybody knows me, I'm a diehard rock fan. Um, and he's actually the reason why I got into pro wrestling. Um, Watching The Rock at 24 years old doing the people's elbow to The Undertaker. And I think it was and Rock had a cast on. I remember that. And a big old banner of the Brahma Bull just drops down. And needless to say, man, I got hooked on it. Obviously, everybody in my school and things, man, they love Stone Cold. Stone Cold this, Stone Cold that. I wasn't a big Austin fan. I was a Rock fan. So that's really what got me into it.
I definitely can understand as much, and
Bro, it's
I'm
like it's like college football, It's like you either pick one side or the other. I just
yeah,
could not just stick on the everyone stay on this side. It was always an oddball thing for me.
I uh I was a rock fan too, and I liked Austin, but I was more of the stunning Steve Austin fan than the
Yeah.
Stone Cold. And I know a lot of people looked at me strange, but I I knew what I knew, and it was like can actually wrestle. He just chooses not to anymore.
Hey, and I love how you say that because obviously, people shun upon those things like, oh man, Hogan couldn't work, this guy couldn't work and stuff. But like if it's just because of the personas that they had. And I think that was the different characterization because like you just said, you love Stunning Steve Austin, but everybody loves Stone Cold Steve Austin. And
Right.
what did Stone Cold Steve Austin do? Beer swelling, foul mouth. He was a whole different. He was everybody's favorite because he was doing stuff that you wish you could do. And
Yes.
I think that's what pro wrestling was for me back then was I wish I could do what they did. The Rock, man, like we talk about Austin, we talk about The Rock. Rock had that it factor. Like we just said, you like the Stone Cold that nobody really knew of. Stone Cold with hair. Rock was a character just molded from his grandfather and his dad named Rocky Maivia. So it was like, it took him a long time to get his rolling around too. But it was like when you get that aura feel and they get that moment where you can attach to them, it gets to a part where it's like, all right, man, I'm in. I'm in. Mondays, Thursday nights, I'm going to stay late. I'm probably going to be on dial up for 10 minutes waiting to find out the results of the pay per view. It's different things. Like, I mean, it's like, now I'm really speaking my age now.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't watch the pay per views. My mom and them weren't paying $60 to watch pay per views every Sunday. I would get so mad. I remember when Sunday Night Heat would come on, and I would just pray because they have the venue looks exactly like the pay per view. So I'm thinking like, oh, they're gonna sneak up and actually show the whole show.
Right.
They gave you some promos, and you're excited. You're like, oh man, I'm getting to watch Backlash. I'm getting to watch these things. And it was like, oh man. And they do that cool promo and they just cut it off. And so I'd just be on AOL literally every every other time, waiting to see the results of matches. Or it was smart. You had to watch Raw to see what the results were.
Oh yeah. Now I was lucky because my dad was a wrestling fan, and
Mhm.
when him and my mom got divorced, my dad made sure he got a a, a, a cable box that was broken so we could get
Oh, yep.
every
Yep.
channel.
I was just
And
about to say that. I didn't get that. My grandparents had the box, and man, my first pay per view that we watched was the Royal Rumble, and the very first one was when I got to see. Dude, this tell you how crazy it was for me. I didn't get to watch pay per views at that time, so it was like my first actual pay per view on the box, which my cousin used to brag all the time. He's like, man, I get to watch WrestleMania, all this. He's like, you ain't watching it? Heck no. What do you mean? I can't pay 60 or 70 bucks for this. Oh, we're not paying for it. What do you mean you're not paying for it? And then so I go over there and we're watching the Royal Rumble where Triple H just came back. And where
Oh,
he won the Rumble. And
right.
obviously I'm excited. I get to watch The Rock wrestle. And he lost to freaking Chris Jericho in the undisputed title match. And but it was really cool. I love how you mentioned that box thing because man, those were rare to get.
Man.
They were worth it. They
And,
were worth it.
and I tell you, I'd never forget the time when my dad was, I had just moved out with my girlfriend, and we in our
Hmm.
apartment, and I'm gonna order the pay-per-view, and my dad ring me out. He was like, "Boy, you got responsibility. You better leave that damn wrestling alone." And I'm feeling bad. I mean, I feel low. And my mom happened to come over, and she was like, "Baby, it ain't like you party. It's not like you drink. If that's what you want to do to have entertainment, do what you wanted to do." And I
Hmm.
got that pay per view. I felt good. And then, of course, I ended up going back over my dad because he was like, "Boy, if you don't come over here and watch this with me."
You gotta play the cool dad at the end of the day. That's
Yeah,
how you do it. I love that. That's pretty dope, man. I like
so,
you said, man. With that box, man, that thing was a different animal. I mean,
oh,
good
man.
lord.
Yes, it was. So,
Oh man.
how did you translate from just being a wrestling fan to being a podcaster?
Whew. All right. I think we've mentioned this a couple of times on past shows that we've both been on. Um, I thought podcasting was like audio books. I really thought podcasting was like it's just reading books and stuff. And I didn't really know what a podcast was until I got into pro wrestling myself as an independent pro wrestler. Listening to Jim Cornette, listening to Bruce Pritchard, listening to Stone Stone Cold doing his podcast, listening to Chris Jericho. I really loved Chris Jericho's podcast because Chris Jericho's podcast was more than just wrestling too. He was talking to rock stars, he was talking to different people and stuff like that. And I mean, Stone Cold's podcasts were really cool just because obviously I'm getting a visual inside the business without, having to be in the car with him. So you're getting
Right.
that little moments. And I always told people that was my really time to study moments to like really figure out how to perform, and not only how to perform in the ring but perform outside of the business as well. And I think that's a lot of people don't really take a lot of a focus in is it's okay to be the person you are outside the ring and carry it at a high standard as you would as your performer. And playing with two alternate egos, how to turn in, turn off, and turn on, and and also just being in a good stance with it. I think that's a easy way to put it. But I think that's something I learned really well with podcasting. And obviously, me being a pro wrestler, I got hurt, and I'm thinking I'm done with wrestling and stuff like that. COVID hits. Um, I'm not really liking the knowledge I'm hearing on the news, and there's nothing new on TV. A lot of my friends that were wrestling and stuff like that, they're not making money. One of them was just about to have a baby. Um, so it was like they were not having any representation, no showcasing, nothing because guys, even when the world shut down, independent wrestling shut it down, and which was very sad because independent wrestling was hot at that time. Because this
Yeah.
is when Cody Rhodes, the Bucks, all these guys were really transitioning. They really just got AEW off the floor. And, AEW was doing really well because they were grabbing nothing but independent talent. And that's what was really showcasing the indies for a good bit on a main stage. And I just kept, considering it back and forth. And shout out to my boy J2 Strong and Sam Skaggs. If you don't know him, is Hold My Beer Hansen. He's one half of the Tag Team All Star Special. Very popular group. They've been on countless promotions. They pitched an idea to me and it's like, hey man, you had a lot of knowledge into this. Don't you think you could do a podcast about it? And I I looked at it and I kind of laughed at it at first. I was like, dude, I'm not Stone Cold. I'm not these things, whatever. I mean, I had fun in my time in wrestling and stuff, but I don't think anybody's gonna just listen to me talk. And there was this thing called the Anchor app, and it was free. It was just, hey, you use your phone. You use your phone, take a little headphone in, and there you go. And I was coming upon it. I thought it was a joke for the longest time. I remember I even made a post on my Facebook one time, and I said, it'd be funny to hear what people have to say. And I don't know how everybody took it, but everyone connected on it instantly. It was like, based off of what the world is going on, I feel like that would be a perfect thing to do. And I was back and forth on it. And I kept talking about it out at my job. I'm sitting there I'm like just in a stump on it. I'm like, should I do this? Like, and then at the time, I'm also thinking like, am I really going to be able to go a good length for a show? Like, there was a lot of things like I was thinking of, and I'm thinking I'm not even going to be able to go 10 minutes. So I hit record one morning. I woke up and, I just was doing an about me thing because I read on things like how to introduce yourself if you're going to just do a show, whatever. And needless to say, man, I didn't think I was going to go 10 minutes. I went almost an hour and 10 minutes, I think, just saying about me, talking about what I like and stuff like that. Obviously, I had no experience in sound management, had no experience in, backyard noise, basically. Literally recorded it in my bedroom, and you could tell it was Echo Central in this episode. And I didn't edit a thing because I didn't know what editing was.
Right.
So I just sent it out and, got great feedback from it, which I was really weird. I mean, not even gonna lie. If I listen to it now, I'm cringing and I'm probably hitting stop before the minute mark. So it's like just based off of the experiences I know now compared to what it was. And needless to say, I did like 2 to 3 episodes and I got hooked on it because the next idea I had was with a group of a friend and family of ours. Twins. They were seniors in high school, basically. In high school, and I remember when we saw them that summer. They were dreading going to school because they were talking about, oh man, I'm not looking forward to getting up early. I'm not looking forward to, going to class, doing all these things. And needless to say, when COVID hit, that whole dynamic changed. They miss going to school. They miss going to class. They miss being with their friends. They miss being with their teachers. When the world shut down, it was just right before they got a prom. They didn't.
Mm.
There was rumors having they weren't even have a graduation, and and I was just like, you know what? I talked to their parents because I wanted to make sure I had their parents' consent for sure on this because I pitched the idea for a while. I was like, this is when I really started really diving into what my podcast, Buzzing with Marlowe, really was going to be. And Nielsen was going to say was, I'm going to have two teams on that are seniors. in this very difficult time. Just basically hit record and tell me how you feel. And man, when I tell you that episode is something I'm still proud of to this day, um, it helped me learn the right approach, how to ask questions. And I mean, these are high school kids. Like, I'm sitting there worried about what questions I'm going to ask two seniors. Because I mean, I remember my senior year, I was going over a breakup and I was focusing fully on sports, because I'm trying to play sports at the next level. So it was like,
Right.
hearing them talk about, I miss having school books. I hate being on online school. I hate, having to be staring at a laptop at 6 a.m. in the morning till such and such time to where nobody's around me, and just hearing them just pour their hearts on, like, this is my senior year. One of them was going in the military, the other one was going to college, also that's getting paid going into the military. So they were both going into the military. So it was like, this was their life. Like, we realized senior year is one of the most toughest events that you will go through in life, because that's the reality of life is about to start.
Y-
This is about time you're going to be an adult. You're going to learn what bills are. You're going to learn what money, what the purpose of the money, how to make the money. Like, it was a very difficult time for them. And man, when I tell you, that episode, not only I wasn't really worried about the growth of the episode, I just wanted people to hear how their perspectives were. And man, when I tell you we got so much feedback off of that episode, that's when I knew, okay, we can really do this. And, diving into just having questions, talking to some of my friends, kind of like a high school, you know, a time capsule type thing. Because I never had a high school reunion, so we just did it on the show, and man, it just grew and grew and more. So it really got me hooked on podcasts, and man, still to this day, I'm not as consistent as as everybody can tell. The live videos ain't like every week like they used to be. We've been taking a nice little break, but yeah, man, I've been on that podcast bug for a long time now.
So, what would be your advice if I came to you and asked, tell I had no experience in it? What advice would you give me?
Um, the main thing, stay consistent. Um, that's something I really want people to realize. Like, anybody can make a podcast, but don't fake something to try to build a rating, because that will not only burn you out, but at the same time, maybe might even lose your focus of who you really are. Um, I mean, make sure. Uh, Obviously, everyone talks about, oh, focus on the topic and make sure that's the topic you want to be. I never was that podcast type person. I like the part where you can bring, family of people that talk about ballerinas. I still talk about an episode that I did. I was absolutely dreading, and it actually became one of the awesomest episodes I had, just because I got to live in somebody else's shoes, even if it was just based off that interview. And that's something I really try to tell people, man. And I remember, biggest thing is everybody's like, oh man, I'm not a celebrity. Nobody's going to listen to me if you put your effort out. I sit here, my references every time I tell people, I always say this thing like it's a workout for me. Like, the toughest thing about going to a gym is stepping foot in the gym. And that's something like I will tell people with podcasting. The worst you can do is you not like it. Either you could stop it, or you could work at how to build yourself up. I tell people all the man, try it. I mean, it's not something that's going to harm you. I mean, I would hope not. I mean, we've got some pretty opinionated people in this world, but needless to say, I mean, as long as you try, I mean, what else is there? I mean, do you want to play that what if game forever? I've seen countless posts where people go, "Hey, I want to try a podcast. I want to try a podcast." I'm gonna try to inspire you and enlighten you to do it. And I'm like, "Hey, man, I'm here. I mean, I'm not the best podcaster in the world, but I will give you advice that has worked for me. If it don't work for you, then okay. But I mean, I'm not going to be one of these podcast bubbles and be like, oh no, don't come over here. You're not ready for this. Like, if you want to try it, try it."
I I love that because with me, just my own personal journey into podcasting,
Hmm.
I used to tell my son and daughter, never be afraid to fail because
Hmm.
you can get up, shake yourself off, and keep going. I said some of the worst things I look back on my life is I was too scared to try. And I
Hmm.
missed so many opportunities because I was scared to try.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for my wife, I wouldn't be doing this right now because, like, I used to say the same thing, man. Who's gonna want to listen to me talk about wrestling? And she said something that sticks with me to this day. She's like, baby, you would debate God. So you talk. So after I thought about it, I was like, okay, yeah, give it a shot. Like you, and it's funny that you brought that up. I went back to my first episode.
Hmm.
Oh my God. I think I made it maybe 2 minutes before I cut it off.
Uh,
And this and the thing was, I know I had a good topic. I just
hmm.
hate hearing my voice.
Yep.
When me and you sitting here talking, it's great. It's no problem. But as soon as I try to go back and listen to it, I'm like, oh,
Oh man.
no, I can't do that. I can't.
No, the worst part is where it sounds like you're in an elevator. I'm just sitting there. I'm like, I looked at the video. It's an hour and 35 minutes. And needless to say, I'm sitting there like, and I'm hearing the listens, and I'm getting people responding to me saying, "Hey, man, I like your stuff, man. You sound professional." I'm sitting there like, man, you are obviously not listening to this because you're sitting here telling me this, and it's hyping me up. I mean, obviously, me from pro wrestling background, I remember obviously, you want the vets to look at your match and you go, "Hey, man, hey, I want you to take a look at me. What did you think?" Obviously, you get the typical, "Hey, you did a good job, man," whatever. So it hypes your head up, and you're thinking, "Okay, I ain't got to fix nothing. I'm doing all right."
Right.
And then when I listen to this thing, I'm like, "Oh no."
Uh, so, with that being said, with you and your wrestling background,
Hmm.
was it easy? Was it an easy transition to go into the podcasting, even though you didn't know much about it? But
Hmm.
with wrestling, I would think it would help with you being comfortable getting your voice out there to different people.
Hmm. Um, well, let me start it this way. I tried to avoid talking about pro wrestling at that time because if you remember, that's when I was hurt, and that I had to really really soft patch when it comes to that scenario because obviously I was blaming pro wrestling at that time because obviously my neck. That's one injury usually you don't come back from until 4, 5, 6, or 7 years ago now that we've got Daniel Bryan, Edge, Page, all of them just making remarkable comeback. So I was like, hey, why not me too? Basically, but at that time it was just a really bitter scenario. My daughter was just born, couldn't really pick her up. So I mean, I was blaming a lot of things when it came to that. Um, my brotherhood in pro wrestling was really slim at that time as well. Uh, so I won't say it was easy, but at the same time, I did have a great support group that not only have supported me when I was wrestling or supported me when I was in high school playing sports, stuff like that, but also giving me honest feedback on some things. I remember my mom, the only person that sat there and told me, said, "Son, I don't know what you were recording off of, but it sounded terrible." Um, my first episode, I mean, I'm getting hyped up. People telling me I'm doing good. My mom flat out just said I couldn't listen to it. So it was like, oh, I mean, we're getting honesty. And that was one thing I learned that I tried to beg people to do was give me honest feedback. Don't tell me if it's bad, it's bad. If it's good, okay, it's good. But I say the hardest thing was to do the following because obviously I was focusing, just constantly sharing it, whatever. It was kind of like when I first started wrestling. I was begging for the audience to cheer for me instead of letting them cheer for me. I think that was the toughest thing for me at that time because I'm just playing around with different audiences. Uh, Anchor finally messaged me saying, "Hey, you know how to edit yet?" And I had an hour and 15-minute conversation with them teaching me how to edit. So it was like, those different things that really changed the dynamic for me to build an audience on these things. So I would say the biggest thing was to the hardest thing, just building a following. Uh, at first, I'm worried about numbers. I'm worried about, analytics and stuff like that, back to back to back. If I'm not hitting over 10 digits within the first 5 minutes of a show, I was kind of like, ooh, this one ain't going to do too well. And then it shocks me and it goes even more. So it was like, those were the things I needed to just calm myself because obviously on episode 5, I'm thinking like, oh, yeah, I'm a big time podcaster now. I got to get 20 plays pretty soon. But I was just I the one thing I would change is just pacing myself and just keep letting it flow. Just let it flow. Um, a lot of people push too much, they burn out too quick. So it was like certain things like that was really just the learning thing. And the biggest problem, this was the biggest issue for me. And this is why I could never do an episode just with myself anymore when I'm saying and certain different words all through the entire thing. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna count how many times I said this, and I'm gonna try to avoid saying it the next episode. And needless
Right.
to say, all of them had to be pre-recorded because I'm editing every time I'm saying that one word. So it's like it was getting frustrating. So it's like those things were really the toughest part about it.
I definitely understand that because I sit and like you said, anybody who does podcasts, you know certain things you do,
Mhm.
and you are like, oh man, I got to stop that. I got to find a different way. I got to find a different way. And I used to be so nervous to do podcasting because oh man, I'm gonna mess up. People gonna see me, this, that, and the other. It wasn't until I realized that for my goofs, me saying something wrong,
Mhm.
doing something, it was me being natural. And
Right.
people gravitated to that. And of course, when we do podcasts, when we want to do the best we can, so
Mhm.
we try to make sure, hey, I say this word correctly. I go down this road correctly. And it got to the point I'm like, no, I'm just going to
It,
be
it
me.
messed you up.
Man, I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm just me. If I make a mistake, you'll know it. I'm just going to be
Yep.
authentically me. And I
Yeah.
found being authentically me got me more fans than I thought I was losing. And when people come up, oh man, I love your show. What kind of rock are you smoking? But
Isn't it funny when they're trying to give you compliments, you're just sitting there looking at them like you're just trying to be nice.
yes,
There's nothing else you're gonna try to do. You're not fooling me. I'm the one recorded it. You're not going to tell me that you sat through that amount of time to listen to that.
Yeah.
Might I add, I wasn't echoing nothing. Like I was recording in a very hot garage. Okay.
I, probably one of the like mind blowingest things happened to me is when a wrestler and his girlfriend came up running up to me like little kids, like, "Oh my God, man, I listen to you all the time." And I'm just standing there, I'm like, you realize we switch roles, right? I'm supposed to be telling you this. What the heck? And it made me really think and like, wow, people actually enjoy
Mhm.
what I'm doing. And I've now I can do a podcast. I'm never nervous, no matter who
Yep.
the guest, whether it's a wrestling legend or just a indie person. I'm
Yep.
generally the same, and it's like it's just getting comfortable. Like and when I talk to people right before we go on, and I can tell they're nervous, I say, "Look, what you think about it like this? You're having a conversation with an old friend, and we're just talking about we're reminiscing over history." And that helps me, and it seems like it helps the people. Like
Mhm.
when with this, I want to have fun. I want to
Yep.
make sure, if nothing else, when we get through talking, we get off air, you be like, man, that was one of the best times ever. That's my goal, because I know if it's your best time, then you're open. You're gonna have
Mhm.
just have fun talking. Then you'll come up with a story that you hadn't told in another podcast or whatever. But that is my goal, to make you feel comfortable. If you don't feel comfortable, I didn't do my job right.
Yep. I think the biggest thing is, man, you got to be uncomfortable to do this because reality, this is a video diary of our lives. And it's very picky on what we're trying to give the audience to visual. And this is something I've learned. Shout out to my buddy, Jay Too Strong, great independent pro wrestler out in Georgia. He said this very well. It's okay to be comfortable at the same time, but at the same essence, you need to learn how to screw up and but how to fall up on it. And I feel like that's something that we need to really just be okay with. Like I tell people all the time, when you have these conversations and you have these little chats, I'm literally just it's a FaceTime chat with an old friend. And if it's someone brand new, man, it's easier to do the interviews, in my opinion, because I can do two things. If anybody knows from my shows, I say, "Hey, how are you doing?" Obviously, do the easy little shtick. And then I always, and this is something that I learned really well with pro wrestling. I do this with life now. Make sure you introduce yourself all the time at the same essence, but you're able to still follow up on to where the original audience members know and they're really able to find out about the guests. That's something that I've really been taking, the essence of. It's okay to do the introduction, hey, how are you doing, whatever. But if nobody knows who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself. And when they tell you that easy things, man, my mind's already going. And I could already click on two things. When they say, well, I've done this in experience with this. I dive in with this or something. There's three topics right there. And we can go for a good extent to where that interview just goes completely clean. And like when you go through those and when you talk to them, and I really don't want the same typical questions. Like I've had past celebrities on my show. Shout out to Larry Hankin. Um, Larry, if anybody don't know him, he's not the biggest the biggest role in movies, but you gonna know the guy. You just know, oh, that's that guy. You may not know his name, but he's
Right.
been in Friends, Home Alone, all these different great films. And and if anybody doesn't know Larry, Larry loves to talk. So when I was introducing him, obviously he told me, he's like, "You're not gonna ask me, how long I've done it, da 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 da." Like he just felt exhausted just from that little bit. And I was like, no. So when he told me a little bit, obviously I knew he didn't really want to talk about Friends, which was sad because my family's huge Friends fans, and that's what got them to want to listen to this. So I didn't get to ask him the Friends question until after the camera, which we agreed that we were going to do a behind the scenes thing and see if that worked. But I just dived in and asked him. And I said, how come when people see you on TV, they don't know who you really are? And I always ask him, does that bother you? And he looked at me. He's like, nobody's ever asked me something like that. And I was like, does that bother you? He's like, no, because I have this amazing house. And it's like these different things. And he's like, I may not have the biggest role, but at the same time, I got paid like I had the biggest role. And it was really just eye opening listening to him talk about it, because usually, especially in this pro wrestling background we have, if you have someone that had the experience level like what Larry had, but he's not the big draw in the show. He's one of the attractions. He's one of the guys that gets the show to where that little flow needs to go, and
Right.
that's it. And usually when people are like that, they get bitter. And when I say bitter, I mean they just go on full rants, and you get the most trending topics because they say something about a big name, and that just sticks to people.
Right.
But Larry spoke very candidly about everyone and every little thing, and why he didn't like why he didn't like the big roles, because he said he doesn't like reading more than 6 words on a paper. And so it was like, hearing him talk about stuff really had me an outlook like, dang, you may not always be the big star on the show, but it's always okay to realize, like, hey, you're on the show. And sometimes it's okay to just be on the show. um the one thing I will say that's really cool about podcasting, especially just me in general, I used to think people wanted to know who American Prodigy was outside of pro wrestling. That's what the first season of Buzzing with Marlowe was. And needless to say, more audiences wanted to know who Warren Marlowe was instead of American Prodigy. And we dived in, season two, fully just full interviews where it wasn't just people I knew. I was going on network and I'm talking to everyone. I mean, I'm not picky. I'm not picky on people. I'm like, hey, you want to come on and do your chat? You want to have a good little thing? Let's go with it. And then season three, I decided I'm going to start doing video podcasts. And obviously, no one knows. Go on my show. Check out the 100th episode. I apologize for the camera angles. They weren't the best at that time, but we had my 100th episode. And also, we had a nice little special thing to where people realize I'm fully medically cleared. And not only that, I'm making a return in the pro wrestling ring after 5 years. So it was like, you know, and like you just said, people that noticed you like that were independent pro wrestlers, I didn't really just see how big just from all my continuous hard work was, because I was posting episodes religiously. Like
Oh
I was
yeah. Yeah.
posting episodes religiously. I was live as much as I could. Um, I've I've just been constantly just trying to figure out what the next thing could have been. And when we did the 100th episode where I was announcing that I'm coming back in the ring, which I didn't make it seem like, yeah, I'm coming back. We made it to where the guy that was on the show with me, which we had a great entertainment time. Shout out to El Nino, Javier, whatever he wants to call himself. I'm giving him too much exposure as it is. But you know, we we drew that thing to a, a really awesome thing that obviously it didn't have the best ending, but at the same time, it's something that we can look back at and go, man, we made that. Like we were legitimately the first two talent to really build a feud off of a podcast. Um, we went fully season 4 where we were teasing it like, oh, he's running away back and forth. Like we just played skit after skit. We were doing an inside independent promotions and stuff like that. And it was just so organically and easily done to where we had our big tag match. That building blew off just for two people that were in this ring. And it's sad. I feel bad because the guy that I tagged with, he was a phenomenal talent and he was leaving pro wrestling, sadly. And it was like I was trying to get them to chant his name and it was not happening. Prodigy this, Prodigy that. That's all it was. And, it was beautiful that what happened because when I was gone, man, I'm thinking like, dang, man, I'm not with the 8 pack anymore. I'm not with, certain things that was kind of discouraging when I first got back in the ring. And, obviously the most typical thing when you're a pro wrestler is, are they going to know you? Are they going to remember you?
Right. Right.
And I remember I was on this independent show and we did the skit where I was going to pop up and just shock him, whatever, and almost cost him his match just being there. And then we wanted to see the audience's reaction because I remember the promoters, they were back and forth. Shout out to Steve and Vanessa from Destiny Combat Championship Wrestling outside of McClenny, Florida. Um, they wanted to really see if we really were as built up of what we were on YouTube. Because when we were live, you're having almost 1,000 people watching this. So they were just like, oh, this works on the media standpoint, but I don't know if it'll work on the show standpoint. And
Right.
needless to say, man, when I had people in front of me and they're like, dude, Warren's from Buzzing with Marlowe's here. He just took a picture. He's at the promotion. And I'm incognito mode, I got a hood on. I'm just covered up through this thing. It looked kind of weird, just somebody just sitting in an independent promotion, all with a coat on at like 85 degrees outside. It's kind of a little weird. But yeah, man, it was really cool. And I almost broke character twice on it because I was just like, dang, kids are really excited for this. Like, this is really cool. And then when I really revealed myself and when we made that thing, man, it really just showed like, hey man, if you do something right, stuff really does fall in its place. And I also want to give a shout out to my boys, Shiz, Blackheart from the OTTR mob, my former commission guy. I remember when we did commission talks, like it was just pro wrestling fans. The show was a different concept because I always thought of Skip and Shannon. One was a professional athlete, the other one was an analyst that spoke off of just being a fan.
Right.
And my boy Dre on Wheels from the 11:30 podcast, which we still do commission talks and we'll be coming back soon, but it was a different visual than what normal wrestling podcasts were because you had a pro wrestler that gave his analysis, his visuals of how to be in the ring to just a pro wrestling fan. And it was the first podcast where you can literally be, hey, it's okay to be a fan, but also at the same time, let's get a perspective of a guy that's been in the ring. Let's get two visuals and see if we can meet at the same. Not saying which one is better, just
Right.
see
Just
if we can get on the same page on that topic and see in those perspectives. And those were something that really just makes podcasting fun, if that makes sense.
well, and now that was where I was definitely about to go. Is it fun for you? And
I would do it if I wasn't.
and
I'm not even kidding, man. It's too much of a hassle to not.
and it's I think everyone that I've talked to during this is everybody says the fans don't know how much we go through to make
Mhm,
sure that we're doing some amazing stuff for them.
mhm,
And you wouldn't do it if it wasn't fun, if you were not enjoying yourself. And for me, it's like you said, it's a therapy. It's something because I think about I'm I've told a lot of people, I'm disabled, so I don't have a job. So
Uh-huh.
it could mess with my mind a lot. But I think about, man, people who actually like my show, they trying to get away from life just for a
Uh-huh.
moment. And if I can help them do that, man, I'm getting to talk about something I love. I respect it to the fullest, and I get to use all this useless knowledge as a lot of people used to tell me,
All that paid off, right?
man. So, hey, I'm loving it. So
Hey.
I have to say this real quick. Um, you know, I am a genuine person,
Hmm.
and one thing about doing this is I want to give people their flowers, because there are too many times that something happens and the person is gone. Then everybody wants to talk about how great they were and how much you loved them and missed them. I, I, in my personal life, started to let people know how I feel, so you could never doubt what I feel. I've told you, and you know, and you can enjoy your flowers because too many people can't. So
Hmm.
this is about thanking you for doing everything you're doing with your podcast. Thanking you for uh, being open to help people, because a lot of times we'll never know how many people we've helped have just carrying a conversation. So I just want to give you your flowers and tell you thank you, and you are much appreciated.
Hey man, I appreciate it. I remember the first time me and you met, and I think it was on Blackheart's show.
Yep,
Um, we did two interviews that day, and
yep.
I remember we went over, and me and you were just talking about the NWA days, like literally old school NWA days. And I mean, I think you were amazed by me because obviously I looked really young. Like, how the heck this kid talking about, such and such this time? Like, this one wrestling wasn't even when he was born. It was just like we clicked instantly. And like you said, man, you've been on my show 3 or 4 times. It's been an absolute blast. You're giving flowers out, man, but you need to also give the same thing to yourself because I remember the last time we talked, it was right before you were having your back surgery. And you were nervous and stuff like that, but at the same time, man, you said it. It has to happen. It has to happen for you to get better. And obviously, you're doing way better. Shout out to your wife because I mean, she's that backbone. I remember those stories you be telling me all the time. Like sometimes that you're just sitting in that chair all day, just being in that room, just enjoying yourself. Because I mean, that that's when you realize you love this because, like you said, man, this thing is not that easy. But at the same time, it's an adrenaline like no other. And I think a lot of people, what's the best way to say this without hurting people's feelings? Um, a lot of people want to say something bad just so they can get trending, if
Oh
that
yeah,
makes sense. And
yeah.
I think that's what a lot of people like to attack because I tell people all the time, man, you could say something about how I look, you could say whatever. I mean, people that know me, they know doggone well it doesn't hurt my feelings at all. Now, obviously, when American Prodigy was in the ring, whatever, and you say, "Hey, you suck," I mean, I could prove you differently, but hey, that's what it was. But it's like I love the critique. I love the challenges and stuff like that. And obviously, me not being consistently in podcasting like it used to be, um, it is it's kind of like when you're not in the gym all the time. And those PRs ain't as easy as they used to be. So you
Right.
got to just, grease them hands up and, might have to do a couple more warm up with reps than you just starting with the original weight. But also at the same time, it's just keep going. And that's something that I admire from you. I remember when we talking about. I remember when you were just launching your WSN, your web page and stuff like
Woo.
that. And just seeing the network that it's gotten, man. I still tune into the one about the action figure one. So shout out to whoever that is for the action figure one because that one is entertaining at its finest.
Yes, it
I have
is.
a kid with autism and he loved it. So yeah, man, definitely make sure you give flowers to yourself as well because you right here and you giving platforms for people to give their chance, give spit their knowledge and stuff like that. Even if it's not the best knowledge at the same time, you still give that time. And that's something that's more said than done than anything because when I first got into podcasting, man, I thought, obviously podcasters would be generous, talk, whatever. Same time, uh, it was basically the typical, hey, you play mine, I play yours type scenario. So
Yeah.
definitely, I love the game is a lot different now.
Yeah. And that too is like I just wanted to show people that we can all work together. We can it doesn't have to be that serious where, oh God, you're taking numbers away from me, man. Do that and have fun.
Oh yeah, I totally agree.
Well, guys, girls, I want to thank y'all once again for coming and joining us around the campfire and enjoying this great story to learn about my man Marlowe. And just again, one of the big things I always leave off on is this. Please, please, please go support your local indie wrestling.
Yes.
I always will say, I won't say it's better, I won't say it's worse, but what I will say is it is a different type of atmosphere that you can't get.
Oh
WWE,
yeah.
AEW, the bigger companies cannot match with independent wrestling. So please go and support your local wrestling.
Oh yeah, definitely. I also want to give a quick shout outs to some of the talents that I have worked with from the comeback or from the past. Obviously I said El Nino. If you haven't checked him out, really entertaining superstar. Um, my boy Jules Bradley. This guy came from nothing, just traveling all the time, to now being on NWA repetitively. Um, Shout out to Prince Handsome, the guys from Five Star Jobber Podcast. They just made a wrestling promotion outside of somewhere in Florida. There's too many places. Also, a shout out to the promotion you were actually out at, over in Tennessee. I mean, those guys are really starting to grow more now too. It's just really good to see independent wrestling grow. I remember when COVID happened, I'm thinking, oh man, that's it. That was fun when it lasted. Uh, I just feel like it helped excel pro wrestling. Gave the very big public eye to actually watch pro wrestling because that was the only thing updated on sports. So it's really cool, man. Like I said, man, it's more said than done to put the tights on, fight, whatever, do what all you want to do. It's about why we do what we do. And you don't get that on, the big stages. Obviously they love it, whatever, but you don't really see the really good stories, the characters and stuff like that until you watch the indies. And they're not super expensive. That's something that pro wrestling's kind of dived in a little bit too high on lately.
Yes, Lord, yes, Lord.
It used to not break the bank like that except on a WrestleMania, but now it's
They,
more than a mania.
well, and that's the damn TKO. They just don't care about wrestling.
They knocking it out now, aren't they?
Yeah, they just want the money. But hey, to each his own. That's just gonna make indie wrestling more popular, and
Mhm.
I'm I'm here to support that. So
Oh yeah, definitely, man. But yeah, man, thanks for having me on, man. I haven't been able to do an interview in a while, so this was obviously, really cool. Um, you giving out flowers, but like I said, man, you deserve more flowers than most people because, dude, your network has so much stuff. And I remember you were like nervous about just showcasing two or three of these things. It's like you have so much stuff in that. You got your own show now. I remember you were hesitant if you were going to do your own show. So
No,
it's like you really have done your own thing.
we are definitely just trying. This year we got some more stuff in store that I cannot wait for us
That
to get
logo is
out
awesome.
there. It's gonna be amazing.
Hey, I love it, man. And just keep
Okay.
doing it, man. Proud
I
of you.
appreciate you. I definitely do. Guys, girls, it has been another fun episode. Again, thank you for joining us around the campfire for these great stories. And we will be back very, very soon. So, hey, thank you. And y'all have a great, great evening.
God,